we have the man who's being in charge. It's been some past weeks very intense for you, Mr. Kukuma. How would you describe? Because a lot of people had been thinking that there's going to be a lot of violence. That we've been hearing drums of war, and it does look at it simmered a bit. And for tomorrow, what is the assessment of the Nigerian police?
Thank you very much. We are taking pains to conduct threat assessment, and this has actually assisted us in ensuring that we are proactive in our deployments. We have had earlier deployments to ensure adequate security before the elections, during the elections, and of course after the elections. We have had our deployment of our combat squad to all the nooks and crannies of the state. All the senatorial districts have been adequately covered, including the deployment of specialist TIU personnel to collect intel, process information. So we have put all these things.
They are the non-uniform wearing police officers.
Thank you very much.
But they've been on the ground for a while.
They have been on the ground for a while.
Monitoring and infiltrating and getting
yes.
information.
Of course, yes.
Interesting.
Of course, yes. It has been 3, 4 months, 5 months of active intelligence gathering.
Have you made any arrests since those months?
We have made sizable number we have actually made some arrests, and some of these people have been processed through the courts.
Oh, they are being prosecuted right as
yes,
we speak.
Yes.
How many? Can you give us numbers of those who are already in court being prosecuted right now?
We should be having not less than 15 cases in court that are related to politics, politicking, and that is before the elections. And we have a number of cases that are quite investigations into a number of allegations are currently ongoing. The investigations are not conclusive yet. And as soon as we have enough of information, as soon as we conclude our investigations, then we'll definitely process the such cases to court. We arraign the suspects.
Are you planning on neutralizing some possible targets of potential violence tomorrow? Because I know this is some usual practice of the police.
We have adequate deployment. Combat squad, we have them in place. We are not just making our deployment. The people are there. There are specific instructions.
But the question I'm asking is, you probably have done your threat analysis.
Yeah.
You've looked at possible potentials for violence on the day of election. Some of these violence may not come until the day of election. And so I know police oftentimes, they neutralize these, they clamp down on possible violent spots. Do you have any of such that you're working on?
We have capacity to get election done, election carried out, free of violence throughout the state.
Okay, I have a list of places that are potential spots for violence. There are hotbeds. From past elections, from history, there are possibilities of violence in these areas, and these are not conjectures. These are facts and figures. For example, state, local government areas or communities within the perimeters of the state, there are satellite towns, and those are neighboring, that are border towns of Edo State. The Akoko Edo area, the Esako East, the Orion ones, the Ovia Northeast, the Owan West. These are places that have been identified as hotbeds. Have they been identified by the police at so?
Yes, of course. Sure. We have identified these places. We have marked out our borders with contiguous states. We have enough of intel of the possibility of people making incursion from contiguous states to foment crisis in Edo State. And for that reason, we have actually synergized with sister agencies. If you are coming into Edo State today, from whatever point of entry, you will see that the military are in place. So we have several layers of security at the entry points and the exit points of exit. We have the military at the first point of entry. The second layer of security, we have the police mobile force. The third layer of security, we have the Civil Defense Corps, the armed squad of the Civil Defense Corps. There is no way one can possibly beat these three layers of security at the points of entry into Edo State. Whether you are coming into Edo State through the north, Kogi border of Edo State, whether you are coming into Edo State through Ondo State border, or you are coming into Edo State through the Delta border. And we have equally extended this to the waterways. Edo, it may interest you that Edo State has boundary on the waterways with Anambra State. So we have taken precautions to ensure that postings have been made.
Mr. Kokumo, things are watertight from your point of view.
Times what?
I said things are watertight in terms of your preparations.
Yes.
And we can bet it that you are ready and you are up to the task. But a lot of issues will come up, and we will take a break now. But there are a few issues I'd like you to touch on, bordering on the issues of security and the fears of a lot of people ahead of tomorrow. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back to analyze for you some of the things that you need to know more ahead of tomorrow. 31,000 police officers, those are the figures that we know. But what more are they going to do? They say they have so much more of their sleeves. We'll find out more on this program. Join us again, everyone. So much, everyone, for staying with us right here on the special edition of Politics Today on Channels Television, as we're taking a good close look at the governorship election of tomorrow. It's just a few hours away, and we're feeding in on some of the things that you need to know ahead of that exercise. If you are from Edo State, you are interested in this election, but you are not around, don't you worry. We have you covered. Or you have, wherever you may be in the world, or you are even in Edo State, some information that you need to know. I've been speaking with the Commissioner of Police of Edo State, Mr. Johnson Kokumo. Thank you so much, Mr. Kokumo, for your time today. And one of the issues that I really want you to talk about is the issue of the violence from what we have had in the past weeks up until now, which had given a lot of people fears. The Oba of Benin had wearing in on this one, and it seems that things have simmered. But so far, any casualty recorded so far?
Let me put it straight here, that since we have commenced electioneering campaigns, we have not recorded any single death. No single death recorded in Edo State electioneering campaigns and the politicking here and there. Yes, we have experienced pockets of violence here and there, and the security agencies have been able to protect the lives of the citizens, and of course, they have been able to resolve a lot of issues coming up from electioneering campaigns and rallies. And as I said before now, a number of arrests have been made, and such suspects arrested have been arraigned in court.
Have you mopped up arms and small arms and ammunition around the state? And how many of these, if you have?
Long before now, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Mohammed Abubakar Adamu, had issued instructions on mopping up of arms and ammunition in circulation. This order, of course, was not restricted to Edo State. And at the eve of electioneering in Edo State, the IGP harped on it, and we're all out to ensure that we mopped up. We actually appealed to the good citizens of Edo State to voluntarily, on their own, willingly submit such prohibited arms in circulation. And the second layer was for us to go all out to ensure that we discover areas where such arms were kept, and we were able to recover them. And those
How many were you able to recover?
quite sizable. I do not have the statistics. I cannot say that.
The ones you forcefully recover or the ones they voluntarily handed over to the police? Which?
Some were voluntarily handed over to the police, and some were discovered and recovered by the police, mopped up by the police, and those who are found in unlawful possession of such prohibited firearms have been charged to court.
So give us an understanding, because one of the fears before this election is the fact that on the day of election, there are a lot of privileged citizens around town who have police escorts and orderlies and all what have you. Have those submitted them before now, or what is going to happen? Because the fear is that some of these people use those protections to aid and abet or to rig elections on election day.
We have issued out instructions, directives, withdrawing security details attached to politicians, security details attached to VIPs, regardless of status. Several of these security details in form of orderlies have been asked to come back to base.
Have they?
Yes, of course.
When did they report?
Several of them report. They have started reporting since 2 days now. And majority of them reported today, because we will even require their services for deployment to polling booths.
Will the police be fair in this election?
We will remain apolitical. We will be very, very fair. We want to ensure we have a very credible election, fair, free, an election that is free of violence.